Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons! Today we got the thing from Days in May. And we'll go see what our afternoon turnip prices are. That'll tell us basically how the rest of the week's gonna go. I don't actually think this will be the longest episode in the world. Partially because, like, I've been really busy today. And not getting any work done. Sorry, I was a little bit preoccupied, Peanut. What are you making? Tea. I'm making my specialty. Plain cupcakes. You can have my recipe for plain cupcakes. Alright. Do you like me a good plain cupcake? You can do anything you want with it. Yeah, I already know how to make them. Those are the Nooklings. I can give it to them. I can definitely give them that recipe. This started before the music today. I almost want to say it's the earbuds. But I don't know. Zoops, great to see you. Let's talk. Sometimes you get cravings for veggie stew and nothing else will do. That's fair. Veggie stew ain't my thing, but it is fair. Here's to my evening, Bunny Yip. How's your night going, Colonel? One chat. Don't mind me. Just keeping the peace on Astera. Try to do a few patrol jogs every day, Colonel. Alright, man. You do that. Proud of you. Yeah. You do that. Not much need. It's a very peaceful island. But, you know, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. Man. Ended up messing up the I was gonna say the money rock. The rock. I messed up Dwayne by my eye being a bit screwy. I really don't know what to ramble about today. Because, like, well, okay, there is something I can ramble about. And it's something I just learned about earlier today. So, I've mentioned Thor from Pirate Software quite a few times. Well, he, in the past, played EVE Online. Knowing how he is, I could already tell that, he was going to be a crybaby about it. And apparently, he was part of causing the systems to fall to the Trigvalians and create Pogvin, or whatever it is. The Trigvalian space. Apparently, his group was one of the main ones that was initially there. It's like, alright, you are kind of a jerk, so, you know, makes sense that you would do something that jerkish. Welcome, Steven. Glad you stopped by, boy. Let's talk. Find the comfiest spot in the whole place. Believe it or not, it's my shell bed. I can believe it. Sometimes I'll just cozy up on it with a big cup of tea, reading or knitting. Oh, it sounds nice. Well, looks like you got a cup of tea right there. Enjoy. I mean, that looks like it could be orange juice. But, like, he went on and on and on for, like, 8 minutes, basically complaining about how just totally unfair it was that when that region of space first came into existence, it was bugged. The main way of generating ISK in that region didn't work. You know the reaction from the normal EVE Online player at that point? Haha, karma's a bee, ain't it? Because these systems falling to the Trigvalians ruined a lot of the parts of New Eden. There's a system I've rambled about called Najara that was the trade line between basically the two halves of High-Sec. If you were traveling from basically Galante Amarian space to Minmatar space, for example, you went through Najara, probably. Amarian space, definitely. Which is kind of funny, given the Amarians and Minmatar are neighbors and fight each other. But this connection towards Kaldari space was how you got around. Steven Zook, thanks for coming by. It was cool to see you. Salatus. Hey, Steven. Hey. Look at my face. Real close. Drop in there. See that teeny tiny mark? It's a scar. Making grilled cheese? Saw a monster. I yelled, grabbed the wrong thing, and then ouchie. Promise me you'll always be super duper careful when you're cooking. This stuff can get real hot. Like even if there is a monster and your grilled cheese smells so good, even then, watch out what you're doing. Man, there's nothing worse than eating cold grilled cheese because you weren't careful enough. It is fair. I don't think there was a monster there though, man. Yeah, like, and eventually this did get fixed. And while it was bugged, CCP hadn't been including that region on the monthly economic report. They just hadn't been doing it. The region was bugged. It would be unfair to the region to put them on, the monthly economic report when literally they're losing ISK to run their sites. So after the bug got fixed, they got put on the monthly economic report like everybody else. This, according to Pirate Software, was CCP putting a target on their backs because everyone could see how lucrative that trig space was. It's like, and that is literally no different than the monthly economic report coming out and showing that, say, the Goon Swarm home cluster is one of the most profitable nullsec areas. The only difference is Goon Swarm is smart enough to know how to defend itself. And Pirate Software's crew was not. Like, he sat and complained about doing normal wormhole stuff, which is to be expected in this space, which basically mimics wormhole space, but is worse, except in raw generation of ISK. Like, I can be a wizard. Yes. Blue wizard. Nah. I can be a dork. Go ride a bike with this on. I will ramble about that, but for now I'm gonna keep going with what I'm rambling about. So like, well, it's Monday. Back to the fabric mines. That is fair. Like, he's complaining so much, basically that he had to defend the space he was living in. I would sing this, but I don't want to deafen you people. So I will just quote the song Providence Skies, which is a song about the region called Providence that I used to live in. Through high-sec and low-sec, the warp engines sound, and through 0-0, for Providence bound. For Eve will forever be making it plain, you have to defend what you want to maintain. That is Eve. If you can't, you can't handle a little bloody nose, then you don't belong in that universe. It's dangerous out there. Full of wonders and amazing things. Stuff to satisfy everything you could ever want. But it isn't for the timid. What is up, Steven? Let's chat. Or stand on the beach, look out at other islands. Wonder what life's like out there, Nightshade. Nah, I'm pretty content here, actually. Like, shocking as that might be. Ooh. Valuable butterfly. Also, I should probably reply to somebody who's messaging me. I don't want to leave them on unread, but I don't have a good jump cut point. I mean, I could jump cut here, so I'm going to do that really quick. Jump cut. Okay, I'm back. So, there is, like... There is definitely some frustration that is understandable in what Pirate Software experienced. But, like... At the same time, it's just Eve. And, like... One of the things he complained about was... because the sites in Trig Space were broken, he apparently saw 70% of his corporation or alliance or whatever it is stop playing the game. I could see it. Because rather than be a good leader and be like, alright, this crap be broke. This crap be broke, y'all. We're gonna leave a jump clone. We're gonna set up a clone facility. We're all gonna leave a jump clone here so we can come back when we need to defend the place. But we're gonna go cozy up in Moulden Heath. Nice little area of Losec. Usually pretty empty, has some ice, pretty good ore belts. We're gonna go cozy up there for a while. We're gonna also use the experience there to brush up on our PvP because, you know, when this place is no longer bugged, it's gonna be probably fighting nonstop to protect it because, you know, it's probably gonna be pretty profitable. So let's get you baby boys out to Moulden Heath. Let's everyone leave a jump clone, you know, that way you can come back. Don't worry, you know. Instead of doing that, he's like, no, we're gonna stay. We're gonna keep doing the sites, even though they're bugged and broken, and we're actually actively hindering ourselves to do them. So people stopped playing. Like, yeah, that's what happens. Wait, I'm totally just thinking I wish I could talk to Steven right now. Yo, Zitchy. Chat with me then. Here's the thing I like to think this... here's the thing. I like to think of this wooden block chest as a kind of treasure chest, you know? I mean, it's full of all sorts of clothes and accessories that make me look like a million bells. And what could I possibly treasure more than that? Wow. It is fair. And, like, his own bad leadership seemed to be the biggest issue. Like, we got Gala. Oh, it's Steven. Yep, glad to see you. What's up? Looks like today our best day ever. Doing my best. But, like, using myself as an example. And keep in mind, I didn't ask for leadership. It was thrust upon me. Which, you know, I've actually had someone jokingly quote Star Trek to me on that one. Of a quote from Worf quoting Kahless. Of, you know, Kahless once said, "Great men do not seek power. They have power thrust upon them." In, you know, making Martok the Chancellor of the Klingon Empire. That was my position. But when I was basically leading the Corp in HiSec, I could tell people were getting bored. They were getting restless. They were running out of things they were enjoying doing. Because even the industrialists, well, if they wanted to do industrial work, they still had to go to markets and buy materials, and, like, they couldn't do everything themselves. So I gave everybody 2 options. Well, basically it was 3 options, but 2 primary options. The third option was a tentative one at best. First option, we could find ourselves a little Class 1 wormhole, move the Corp into a wormhole. It's not the most ideal, but we had enough people, we could be self-sufficient in a little C1 wormhole. Not many people pay too much attention to C1s. But the Citadel expansion was coming. We didn't know how expensive that was gonna be, or if bosses would become Citadels. We knew nothing about it. So that was not a great option, and everybody knew it. We also could move to Providence. The, at the time, NRDS region of space. Not red, don't shoot. We weren't red. We could go there, no problem. Providence is no longer like this. CVA is back, but they've gotten rid of NRDS. So let's see you today. Care for some coffee. It's 200 a cup. Yep. The third option was moving to low-sec, but low-sec wouldn't have solved our problems, so it was more tentative and would have gave us a foothold to then move into probably NPC null-sec, which would have solved our problems, but we would have needed that low-sec foothold first to start building up some like capital ships and big guns that we could use to defend ourselves. Providence, we didn't need that. So that made Providence the best choice. Then we went to Provi. After about a year in Provi, people were getting a bit restless again because it was the same old day after day. Someone's coming in. Leathers! Coming for his morning cup. Ooh, good evening, Stephen. Having the scent of Brewster's fresh coffee drifting through the museum has made every day here a joy. I can see it. It would be pretty nice. I love being awake in the morning when the coffee pot goes off. Well, I must be getting back to work. Alright, man. Because, like, the smell of the coffee, like, wafts through the house. It's really nice. But, like, when people started getting restless again, that's when I brought back up, okay, well, we could move to a wormhole. And I checked with the Provi groups that we were living with at the time, and they were perfectly happy with that as long as we maintained not red, don't shoot. Fine by me. Because there's nothing in not red, don't shoot about, you know, setting up warp disruption bubbles on your wormhole entrances and, you know, basically baiting people into becoming reds. And, you know, it was fine. We moved into a wormhole for a little bit. I was mostly the one there because I was generally the one leading the charge to any new part of space. The people who were restless came with me. The ones that weren't were happy to stay in Provi. 87. Okay, that's a pretty good price. We then went from that wormhole because that endeavor, it was a little taxing. Like, a lot of people didn't like the wormhole life, so instead, alright, let's set up a low-sec base somewhere. Because, you know, a lot of the people getting restless were getting restless because what they wanted to do was generally exploration. Exploration in Provi was not easy because you're competing with everybody else. So, okay, let's find a nice little low-sec pocket that nobody much frequents. We'll set up a base of operations there, and hey, let's set up some moon mining as well so that we can start generating a bunch of ISK for the Corp and start making some bank, which is what we did, yet again. Like, you're probably noticing, I wouldn't even call myself a great leader, but that's the kind of things a good leader does. You listen to your people, you solve their problem. And the way I look at it is, if you want to be a great leader, you lead by example. I took nobody anywhere I was not willing to go myself. I did nothing I was not willing to, you know, I didn't ask anyone to do something I was not willing to do myself. Like, the thing I enjoy most in EVE is running level 4 missions. I'm a very boring person. I enjoy running those missions. But I put myself out there into nullsec, into lowsec, into wormhole space to help people get settled, learn what they're doing, help them out the entire way because I know how to live in all those regions. Just because I don't enjoy doing it the most doesn't mean I don't know how to PvP or how to roll a wormhole or, you know, how to scout, you know, how to properly run your D-scan to find somebody without even scanner probes. You know, I know all this stuff, I just don't enjoy it. I enjoy running level 4 missions. I enjoy the grind. I'm weird that way. Probably why I play so much Phantasy Star Online too. Flurry! Oh, it's Steven. Glad to see you. Let's chat. Glad you're never too busy to check in with me. Aww. Got a bottle. Message in a bottle. Thanks for picking this up. A weird DIY TV show told me at 2 a.m. to make this. So I did. Here's the recipe. Thought it smelled good. So I wanted to share the smell with you. Share the recipe with folks. By Puck. Smart guy. It's a lovely Cosmos crown. Neat. I'm gonna be king of the cosmos. The flower, not the sky. But it very much sounds like that is not what Pirate Software did. At all. He basically just told people by the sounds of it, do the sites anyway. Doesn't matter if they're bad. Doesn't matter if you're literally losing money. Do them anyway. It's like, why? Why are you not encouraging your people to leave a jump clone and go somewhere else? The stupidest thing about that is, like, I know the other big players in Trig Space were actively leaving. Like, they weren't sticking around. They were basically doing what I said. Like, they were choosing to, alright, let's leave a jump clone, let's go do something else. So why didn't Pirate and his group try to establish a big foothold through the entirety of Trig Space, instead of just their one little line of systems? Could it be maybe that they were literally incapable of it and had been having their asses kicked the entire time by Fraternity, a Chinese alliance that I've had run-ins with and honestly aren't that bad to deal with? Like, they are very much players, and I give this to Chinese players in most games. If you don't actively touch their sandcastle, they won't touch yours, unless you have something they need. And if you have something they need, you can probably just make a deal with them. Like, they're not the worst to deal with. Like, in Molten Hearth, which is somewhere I lived for a while. When I lived there, Fraternity held the nullsec space right next to it, and would basically jump bridge their ice miners into the ice systems when there was an ice belt to mine the ice. I made some pretty good ISK by offering to scout for them. Keep an eye out for anybody who might be hostile to their mining fleets. In exchange, I was allowed, and this is a case of I was being allowed. They could have prevented me if if they didn't want me doing this, to mine 2 full ore holds of ice in my endurance every time there was an ice belt and I was around. I was allowed that. I was even brought into fleets to, get the mining boosts, because I was helping them. You don't really get that from other groups. You just don't. Fraternity's not the hardest to deal with, which tells me that they were probably just bored or wanted Trig Space all to themselves. I think for a while they did basically hold all of Trig Space, so, But, like, there was also apparently an exploit with the combat sites in Trig Space, where you'd only get your payout if you had 16 players. Or is it 15? 15, 16, somewhere in that range. If you had one extra player, the payout tanked. And people figured out, if you fly up to the acceleration gate, to the site, you count as being in the site. Guess what? Incursions work the exact same way. So people were what pirate-dubbed seagulling. It's closer to caravanning. That's the Eve term for doing that. So usually you caravan yourself, not someone else coming in to caravan on your site. But it's called caravanning Thor. When you park an alt on the gate, and then basically claim the reward. This was initially being done by incursion groups, because incursions, if you don't have enough players, will not pay out, but you don't need the minimum number of players to do the site. But the sites are so difficult, you can't really multi-box them. You need to be paying active attention to all of the ships you're controlling. You can't really do that if you're multi-boxing. So that led to Rooks and Kings coining the term the caravan, or caravanning, for loading up a bunch of alts and leaving them on the acceleration gate to basically pump your numbers up to the required amount. That is literally just a mechanic of content like that. But no, it's an exploit. It needed fixed. No, there's probably no fixing that, honestly. Though apparently from what someone said, apparently CCP did actually fix it, so, you know. So I imagine at that point, you just warp into the site and shoot the big boss target, and ta-da. Problem solved. Still getting the reward. Drop a PvP fleet on them, they'll probably crumble. You know. And we may as well see what Kix has got. Welcome, chum. Have a look. No rush at all. What we got? Aerobic leggings, I don't need those. I could be a little devilish again. An invisible backpack? I almost think I need the invisible backpack. But nah, nothing standing out here. No problem. Come by and visit anytime, mate. Will do, Kix. Will do. You know, I was gonna ramble with something else, and I literally don't even remember now. It just frustrates me so much, seeing that, like, Thor's entitlement, and just, like, whiny nature, and spreading of misinformation, even spread into one of my favorite games. And like, as I've even said, EVE Online isn't for everybody, but the people who love it, and I'm one of them. To me, it's one of the best games ever made. I'd probably, depending on when you ask me, it would probably fall into my top 5 or top 10 favorite games. It fluctuates around the number 5, 6 spot, basically. Like, and it just kind of depends on my mood at the time. Right now, it's feeling like a number 5. But, you know, the funniest thing is the initial groups that moved into Trig Space basically ended up burning their little empires to the ground in protest. Because you can't deploy structures in Trig Space. You're not allowed. Any structure that was deployed before it became Pakvan stayed, but you can't deploy any more. So basically, if you destroyed your structures that you had, those structures are gone now. They all burned their little sandcastles to the ground and left. Thor makes it sound like it was his idea to do this. Nah, his group was one of the last. Like, and it probably wasn't even his call to do it, based on the fact that his former alliance, because he quit the game, literally has an F-off emote specifically pointed towards him. You can tell he was just so loved by them. Like, It's so dumb. And I do apologize that I'm rambling about this guy more, but like, I hope you understand that he frustrates me on a deep level. But that is going to be it for today. I'm going to pop a squat right here, and that's going to be it. So with that, I do thank you all very much for listening to my insane ramblings about EVE Online and how wrong Pirate Software is, and more or less just how much of a baby he is. And hopefully I shall see you back here next time for more Animal Crossing New Horizons. See you all then. And now in this end card, I'd like to ask, if you liked the video, could you maybe hit the like button? And if you're not subscribed, could you maybe subscribe? It'd help me out a lot. Thanks a bunch.